Hello everyone, welcome to 3ddesignacademy.com. In this lesson, we will continue with part 80 of the Lamborghini Aventador project. Okay, so continuing on from the previous lesson, I am going to be working on the fillet over here. So it's going to be the same process as on this side. So let's go ahead and try to finish this side. So I'm just going to duplicate this edge. And like I did on the last one, I'm just going to snap it over here just so that we can just more conveniently do this. So I'm just going to copy and paste this curve over here. And I'm just going to make it about equidistance from the theoretical like this. And I'm going to just extend it over here. And let's go ahead and project. So I'm just going to grab these three surfaces, project on this side. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Delete the curves, because they're no longer necessary, and I'm just going to trim over here, here, and here. Now let's grab a freeform blend. It's going to be curvature on both sides, and let's go ahead and grab these. It's going to be edge align over here, and it's going to be default over here, and that looks pretty good. Okay, let's just check to make sure that it is actually positioned over there. It is, so that's good. And the same thing over here. Okay, so let's just do a quick measurement. Okay, so it looks like it's a little bit smaller on this side, but I would say it's just similar enough. So to be honest, nothing much to worry about there. And let's go ahead and I'm just going to use a curve offset to create a curve. Oh, not that one. Let's delete that. Curve offset. This, so let's make it similar. So it was 2.2, so same thing. And I'm just going to grab a key point curve toolbox, perpendicular, and I'm just going to snap it over here. And again, I'm going to project, get rid of the curve. And I'm just going to use a blend curve. Actually, before I do that, let's do some curve section. So I'm just going to curve section here. And I don't know if I can use this edge. Oh, it does work. Okay, so that's good. And I'm going to just use a blend curve over here and blend curve on this side. I'm just going to make sure that they are nicely aligned. Like this. Actually, because there were two surfaces here, maybe I should have just done two different proposals here, but whatever. Okay, so I do think that it's a little bit easier to get this one to work, where I just build over. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm just going to strike a curve like this, and I'm going to just project, and let's go ahead and use a blend curve here and here. Like this. I'm just going to make sure that they're actually aligned. So I'm going to click here and click here. And let's just check the CV structure. So it looks like it's a little bit leaning towards this side. So let's go ahead and grab this one and push this up so that it becomes a little bit more balanced. Okay, so I think that looks good. Let's go ahead and use a square. It's going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Curved, it says curvature failed. That's fine. As long as it aligns, it should be good. So I'm just going to align this side like this, and it is going to be partial. I should have cut this one off too, but well, that's okay. And let's go ahead and check the continuity over here. Yes, that's should be curvature. And actually, let's turn those on, and let's use align to finish the side. So it's going to be G2 project. Like this, and there it is. That makes it nice and simple, and all I have to do is now this one, I would say this one works pretty well in this situation because the angle difference is not that bad. If it was a sharper break, I think this might have a little bit harder time doing this, but since it is it's got a very gentle transition, I think this one works pretty nicely. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete the curve and surfaces over here. I am going to intersect this one with this fillet over here, and I'm going to say trim. I'm going to say trim, and I'm going to trim over here. Let's delete the construction history. Okay, so everything looks good, and let's go ahead and I'm going to untrim this piece over here, and let's just fill in all the holes. So I'm going to just delete the existing carbon surfaces because they are not no longer valid, and I'm just going to let's project first using the existing surface edges. I'm going to say project, and I'm going to trim over here. Now these carbon surfaces are no longer necessary, so let's get rid of them too. And that looks pretty nice. All right. Okay, so there are a few areas that I still need to finish, so let's go ahead and do that. I think I'm going to start with this one. So let's just grab a curve. I'm going to snap here and snap here. Oops. And I'm going to snap here and snap here. Now this one, it looks like it's leaning a little bit but because it's actually balanced on either side, well, it's supposed to be, it's going across the center. So I think this is actually okay. So let's go ahead and project here, and I'm going to project here. Actually, I think the projection vector might be a little bit off. Oh, it's not. Okay. So let's just delete the curves, trim here, and I'm just going to use a square, 1, 2, 3, and 4 to finish that. And delete the construction history over here, and that looks good. Now, I think I have a few areas that need to be finished, like this one. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I'm just going to untrim this piece like that. Looks like it needs to do a little bit more. Delete these carbon surfaces over here, and I'm going to reproject like this. And let's go ahead and trim like that. Looks like it didn't trim. Oh, okay, so that's why. So I'm just going to extend this one. Should work. And there it is. Okay, so we got that edge nicely done. Now, even if it's positional, or not positional, I should say, I think it should be okay because eventually there's going to be a fillet running all the way through. So even if it's not positional, I think it should be okay. Of course, it's better to make sure that it's positioned. Okay, so looks like there's a hole here too. So let's go ahead and get rid of that. So I'm just going to untrim until we can go back like this. I'm going to get rid of these two carbon surfaces, and I'm going to reproject 1, 2, and 3. And let's see, view, I'm going to say Z. Well, it doesn't really matter. View should work. And I'm going to retrim like that. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete the construction history. Everything looks pretty good. And now, yeah, that looks good. Okay, so I would say the only thing left to do is getting rid of these duplicates on the other side, because we do eventually need to just symmetry over, which makes life actually a lot easier. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually let's get rid of the rear surface because they're sort of in the way. And what I'm going to do now is let's just snap a curve on the grid like this and just extend it like this. So I'm just going to grid snap using Alt, and I'm going to grab all of these surfaces. Actually, let's grab these ones because they actually can be deleted. The surfaces on the center, on the other hand, I do have to grab all of it like this, and let's go ahead and project like that from Z. That should work, and let's just drag it across like that and trim. Now, if you don't like dragging, you can just zoom in and just do the same thing and repeat it. Of course, it's a lot easier, I shouldn't say a lot easier. It's a lot faster to do it this way, where you drag multiple surfaces. Now, when you're doing this, you just want to make sure there are no surfaces underneath that you unintentionally delete. Okay, so everything looks good. I don't know if I delete the construction history. Oh, there we go. Oh, looks like we are missing one. So let's go ahead and get that one too. Actually, I feel like, oh, no, that's fine. Okay, so let's get rid of this one. And looks like this one needs to be redone. I'm going to project, delete the curve, and I'm going to retrim. Okay, so everything looks good over here. Okay, so let's continue with some of the other surfaces. So I'm just going to delete the construction history over here, and I think it is probably a good time to move to rear. Actually, before I do that, I am going to get rid of this one. I think I like this workout better, at least for this one. So I'm just going to do that. Let's just check the symmetry. Everything looks good. That looks much more completed. Okay, so I should work on the wing, but I'm going to leave that for a little bit later, and I'm going to be working on some of the fillets down here. So let's go ahead and bring out some of the rear surfaces. Now, I didn't expect this to be done this quickly, but since it is, it's good. And now let's just bring up some references for the rear and continue. So I'm just going to bring this one over here. Let me just size it. And probably this one over here, just for the rear. Okay, so there are actually quite a few details that I need to put back into the model. Such as this, I don't know if this is supposed to be an exhaust. There's I don't know if it's supposed to be a taillight, or I guess it's for the stop, I'm guessing. But there are several fillets that I have to do, so let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to start. Where should I start? I'll probably start over at the top and work my way down. So let's go ahead and take a look at the image. Okay, so there's a fillet right here, so let's start with that one, and I'll probably work my way up. Actually, yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab surface fillet. And, oh, actually, I wonder... Okay, so I wonder if they have the same section. Yeah, I think that's what I did. So there's a slight break on this black part over here, but as far as the tail lamp goes, I think these are supposed to be just a trim divided. So let's go ahead and do that. I hope I still have the curves. So let's go ahead. Yes, I do. Okay, so I'm just going to grab, I think these are the ones. Now they're like a million curves, but this should work. So let's hide the rest. And actually, while we're at it, let's go ahead and grab the canvas rear. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I'm just going to project over here. Oh, whoops, wrong vector. Instead of Z, it's going to be view. So let's go ahead and, did I delete the surface? I think I might have. Okay. So let me just open a new session of Alias. And I'm going to bring that back. Just press yes. Turn those off, and I'm just going to open a new session. There we go. A couple of sessions back, and let's just grab this one, and I'm just going to copy and paste to this one, and we got the query. Now, unfortunately, really unfortunately, Control Z just doesn't work in Alias. I don't know why. I heard that they're revamping it, so hopefully it'll come soon, but because 2023 is already out, I'm going to assume that it's going to be at least another year before the next one comes out, which is actually very unfortunate. But the Control Z doesn't work. So when it doesn't, so let me just show you guys why it doesn't work. Actually, I'm just going to copy and paste this to a different layer. Okay, so let's say I delete this surface it's going, if I press Ctrl Z, it's going to work. But the problem is, let's say you have an option menu on like this. I don't know why does it, sometimes the options box, let's see, oh, that doesn't work. Okay, I don't think I can replicate it, but let's say your options box is somehow stays on and you delete the surface, and because the option box is on, I don't know why, it doesn't Control Z. So in the previous one, I tried to Control Z when I deleted the surface accidentally, when I was trying to delete the curved surface, it wouldn't go back. So that's, if you ever wonder why sometimes it doesn't work, this is why. So you just gotta be careful. Okay, that's it. However, I really wish Autodesk would update that, because that's actually makes modeling quite difficult, even for people with quite an extensive years of experience. Okay, so let's go ahead and project this, and I'm going to project over here. The curves are a little bit off, so I'm going to adjust them. So I will probably adjust this one like that. Looks like it's matching the canvas nicely. And let's go ahead and trim divide. So I'm going to say divide here. I'm going to divide here. And I'm just going to delete the construction history over here. And let's go ahead and put some fillets. Okay, so for this one, it looks like it's actually quite a bit wide. So let me just go ahead. Actually, let's, I'm going to see if there's a bigger picture that I can zoom into. Well, I don't know if this is bigger, but it does show the rear a little bit better though. So maybe I'll just keep it. And let's see. I mean, there are other good references, but well, maybe this is enough. Let me just take a look at a few more. Well, I guess it's about the same. All right, let's just continue with this. Okay, so there needs to be a fillet here. So I'm going to say core G2. Let's start with something a little bigger. Well, maybe not 50, maybe start with 30. And let's just put that in. So it's going to be edge line on both sides. Like this, edge line here and here. Now, it does look like it needs to be a lot bigger. Even just looking at this image. So let's go ahead and put that in. Actually, this one might be a little bit better just because of the angle. So I'm just going to, let's see. Let's increase it by, I would say, I don't know, probably double, if not 70. 70 might be a little bit big. So actually, let's do this one too. It's kind of hard to see because they are the same surface, so let's just change the color on this one. Actually, that's not too bad. Although, I think I might want to give it a little bit more lead in. So I think I'm just going to keep the size as is and just change the form factor to 0.5. And that's going to give us a little bit more lead in. Make it a little bit closer to G3. And let's just look at the color. Yeah, I think that's better. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly go over some of the fillets before doing all the refinements. So let's go ahead and 70.5 like this and update. Oh, okay, so it looks like that one might need a little work. Same thing over here and same thing over here. So I'm just going to go ahead and do all of them. Well, not all of them, but most of them to see if this is a good size for the fillets. Okay, so I think this is not too bad. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Now, this one on the top though, however, it might be a little bit smaller. So let's go ahead and put something in. It's going to be, well, maybe 50 like this. That said, however, I don't know how it's supposed to transition on the top because I do think that it's a little bit sharper here, so I might have to take a look at that. Actually, this, well, let's take a look. Oh, okay, so there is a break in the surface. If that is the case, that this is going to make it a little bit trickier. However, I do think that it's a little bit sharper here. So that is something that I have to make sure. Okay, so let me just turn these off. And this one off. Oh, actually, I think I should have kept that. So let's bring that back. Let me just resize it. Okay. Okay, so I do feel like it's a little bit softer, but I might have to think about how to transition this, because I think this is going to make it a little bit more difficult. I think when I was doing this stuff, the fillet in this area, I think I should have done this one first before doing any of these. Well, that said, it's already late, so let's go ahead and put fillets on it, and I'll do the refinements a little bit later. Okay, actually, if I'm going to make this fillet, to be honest, it's larger the better. So, I mean, I do have to match the size. Well, let's take a look. Okay, so I think it is a little bit sharper on the top, but I also don't think it's too sharp, so maybe leaving it as is might not be that bad. Let's take a look. Actually, that looks pretty close, so maybe this should be bigger. Now, to be honest, if bigger the fillet, I think actually easier to transition over here. So, well, this one is going to be a little bit tricky. Actually, with how it's intersecting, I'm pretty sure I can just intersect it and it'll actually not be that bad. The only thing that I do have to do is I probably have to make this a little bit fanning sort of fillet over here to make this a little bit smoother. Now, if the angle was a little bit more severe, now this would have taken a little bit more work, but because the difference is so slight, I think I can probably just get away with just putting a fillet there. We'll have to see. Okay, so I think the size here is actually not that bad, but I'm just going to make sure that the size is good for all the other parts. So let's go ahead and compare against the rear. Go to a rear view like this, and I'm just going to, well, let's put a fillet here as well. So for this one, because the area is a little bit small, I don't know if there's the fillet that's going to work. Let's see. So, oh yes, it works, although it's a little bit messy. So let's go ahead and I'm going to untrim this one. Well, actually, you know what? Never mind. Let's go ahead and retrim. I'm going to fillet, and it's going to be extend like this. And let's go ahead and check the size. Well, actually, that doesn't look too bad. I guess I would probably have to make it complementary to this one. So let's go ahead and put a fillet there as well. So it's going to be, I'm just going to start with default just in case, so that Alias doesn't crash. I'm just going to extend this side. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And for this one, it's going to be just edge align. Okay, so the size wise, because of the slight angle difference, so you'll see that there's a little bit of discrepancy. But as far as the size wise, I think it looks pretty good. Now it's kind of this. I don't think this one. Oh, it does work. Okay, so that's good. Edge align over here, and let's see if this one works. Okay, so that didn't work. So in this case, what you have to do is, right now we are not trying to clean up the fillet. What we're trying to do is just make sure that the size is appropriate for the area. So in this case, what I like to do is have a fillet here and a fillet here, and I just connect them with skin or freeform blend, and I just trim the ends so that I can roughly see how, or if the fillet's big enough or small enough. Okay, so actually that Well, I don't think the size looks too bad. Let's try to symmetry it over and see. Actually, symmetry over here and symmetry over here. Let's take a look. Actually, zooming in, I almost feel like it could actually be a little bit bigger. Yeah, not zooming in, zooming out, I mean. Yeah, I think the bottom actually could be a little bit bigger. I think the size is pretty close. I actually do think that's... I think the width is about similar. Yeah, I would say a little bit bigger. Maybe instead of 70, I'll go maybe 90 or 80. So let's go ahead and do that. Maybe 80 over here, 80 over here. And this one, I think I can just leave. Now this, the primary, I guess the driver for the fillet size is probably this one. And actually, let's go ahead and do these ones also. So I'm just going to do 80 for now. Let's see if this one works. Yep, it does. Edge align. And well, let's just do this for now. And let's just take a look. Okay, so let's turn that off. Make the size somewhat similar. Here's the image. Yeah, I think that works. I think 80 works. Although I think the bottom one might be a little bit tighter. So maybe I'll just make the bottom one 70 instead of 80. So I think that size is good. Actually, you know what? Let's just do a few more and see if they are good. Okay, so, well, actually, I think I can probably start cleaning up. Yeah, let's start the cleanup. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, well, I wonder. Okay, so I think this size is good. The only problem is right now because of the angle, it's a little bit different. So I wonder how I should match all this. That's what I think. Well, let's do this. I'm going to undo this one. Actually, I'm going to undo this one as well because I should probably trim this surface off. So let's go ahead and intersect this one with this one. And well, I have a size reference, so let's delete this one, or not delete, let's trim. I'm going to trim that one. And I'm just going to go ahead and delete the construction history on this one because I like the shape. And let's do the same thing over here. Yeah, well, okay, so this was just a skin. So that actually needs to be redone. So I'm going to untrim here. I'm going to untrim here. And I should try to match these. Okay, so let's go ahead and delete. And since these are supposed to have a similar size, I'm going to, well, actually, you know what? I'm just going to use this as a base because they all have to match. So let's do this. I'm just going to grab a curve like that. I'm going to snap over here. Oops, what happened? I might have grabbed them by a CV instead of curve. So I'm just going to snap here. I'm going to snap here. Let's go ahead and center pivot, scale all the way through like this. And I'm just going to use project over here and project over here. So those are good. And I'm just going to snap a curve here like this. And same thing, I'm just going to snap a curve here and here. They do need to be scaled up like that. And I'm just going to project over here and project over here like that. Okay, so that's good. And I think, let's it's not that bad. I'm gonna snap a curve over here and here and okay. So if this how it's well, it's a, to be honest, it's a little bit biased towards this side. You'll see the tangent line distance from the center or the theoretical is a little bit off, but because it's also like this over here as well, I think just keeping it this way is okay. So let's go ahead and project over here and here. I'm just going to delete those and I'm going to undo this one. And because this is our this already has a little bit of acceleration in there, I think I can probably just use that as a basis. Okay, so let's go ahead and trim this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. And I'm just going to create a curve. I'm just going to make it straight and see how that compares. So I'm just going to, yeah, that's actually a pretty good match. It's a little bit off here, but I think that's okay. All right, so what I'm going to do is let's go ahead and connect the dots. I'm going to just snap over here like this, and this one, yeah, it's a little bit off, but I think it's okay. And I'm just going to project here, I'm going to delete the curves, trim over here. This one, I'm actually going to delete the construction history. I'm pretty happy with the sizes, so let's go ahead and do that. And what I'm going to do is, well, yeah, let's just do this. Okay, so let's grab all these surfaces so that they're nice and isolated. I'm going to create a blend curve for each. Like this, including this one. Okay, and now I'm going to just build a square for now, like this, at least the primary ones. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to grab all of these like this, and actually I should have turned the CV structure on. Okay, and this one. Okay, so you'll see that there's a little bit of width discrepancy here. So what I want to do is I'm just going to grab all these and just pull on the square here to make sure they're nice and even. Okay, so it looks like the bottom one needs a little bit more refinement, so let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to grab this one. Whoa, don't want that. I'm just going to point it. Oh, actually, it's actually pointing a little bit inboard. Okay, so if that's the case, I'm just going to... that's a little bit tricky. Okay, so let's do the other ones first. So right now, this one is... well, that one looks good. So that's good. And I'm going to just delete this one. Actually, let's just check. I feel like there was a position... Oh, okay, so not this one. Okay, so I thought there was a position failure, but I think it's a bottom one over here, so I'm going to have to fix it later. So curvature here, that one's good. And this one needs a little bit of refinement. So I'm going to put a square first, like this, and turn the CV structure on. So you'll see that there's a little discrepancy between, I think it's angled a little bit funny over here. So I'm going to have to fix that. So first of all, I'm just going to make sure that the angles are good over here, and so it looks like it's still failing. So it's probably, there's probably something going on, and it's probably not, actually it's probably not aligning as well as it should, but that's okay, because since we have to fix this anyway. Okay, so in order to make sure the CVs are nicely aligned, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pick these both, and I'm actually going to, oh, not that one. I'm going to pick this one, I'm going to pull it out like this, so that they're nice and parallel. And after that, I'm going to grab the circle for the center one like this, so that they are nice and parallel. Okay, so you always want to adjust the tangent one first, and this is how blend curve works. Now, if it was just a line, you can just move the individual CVs and it won't be too much effort. But for the blend curves, this is how you have to adjust. Okay, so I'm just going to pull these one a little bit more further apart, outboard like this, and I'm just going to grab this one like that. Okay, so that looks pretty nice and balanced. So let's grab that one. Oh, actually, I'm going to align because it's we got history on both surfaces and it says position failed. So let's grab this one like that, and I'm just going. Okay, so there we go. That's good. Okay, delete the curves or curve. Turn the CVs off, and that looks pretty nice. So let's go ahead and make everything visible. So I think this is a pretty good match over here, and we still have more fillets to do, but we'll continue that in the next one. Okay, so that is it for part 80. We will continue in the next tutorial, and thank you guys for watching.